Welcome back to my channel, and hello guys, my name is Kevin Oduor. I normally ask this question, why now? It is now because it has happened now. Here we reported in my first political analysis, I did a video about the downgrading of William Ruto's security details, and remember that took effect the day before yesterday. And of course, it has been attracting reaction from different sections of politicians in Kenya. Well, even you saw Francis Atuli coming out to call on the government that is taking the animosity too far. But as we analyzed it, in part of our analysis, we actually saw it as a way in which President Uhuru Kenyatta was just trying to show his anger on his deputy, or rather a defiant deputy. It is quite interesting days because we saw a situation where a president who is not in good terms with his deputy, it is not something that it's strange, because many times we realize that I think President Uhuru Kenyatta is the only person that have stayed long with that deputy president who was formerly called the vice president. But then that takes to the blessings. That is the blessings of 2010 constitution that actually William Ruto opposed. Now, in this video, I want us to set aside the politics of betrayal. I want to set aside the politics of anger between William Ruto and his boss, President Uhuru Kenyatta. So I'm going to share with you secret phone calls that led to the withdrawal of William Ruto's security. I saw some friends saying somewhere that President Uhuru Kenyatta is responsible to William Ruto's security. Actually, William Ruto's security is his responsibility because that is his employer. He is the second most powerful person in this country, Deputy President William Ruto. So of course, with downgrading that security, or rather replacing the GSU with AP, cannot just be a one-off thing. You cannot just wake up one morning and do it. And even if President Uhuru Kenyatta was to initiate it, he cannot just make it directly. So this is what happened. There were reports that emerged that indicating that several phone calls were made last weekend, leading to the downgrading Deputy President Ruto's security. The changes affected Ruto's security at his residence in Karen and his homes in Sugoi and Elgon View. So I think for people who followed up that, you realize that what happened is that his security was downgraded nearly by half. Yes. According to a standard report, a top officer received a call from a senior official within Deputy President Security Circle. Now, a person from Deputy President Security Circle called a top officer seeking clarification on a new directive issued to all police chiefs in Nairobi to stop politicians' gatherings. So, I think I wanted to get it clear. When the president spoke in Mombasa, when he gave the new directives, that is the point where political gatherings were actually suspended. And if you remember very well, it was that moment that Raila Odinga was actually hosting some event in Sikri, somewhere in Homa Bay. And after Sikri, he was supposed to head to Kakamega, which never happened. So the reason why that was postponed was because of the ban of the political gatherings. Now, someone within Deputy President in a circle called top government officials to seek clarification on that. And that's how it started. So, Ruto's security officials notified their boss of the new directive from GSU bosses to end the current meetings. That was the point is. So when the political gatherings were actually issued, when the ban on political gatherings were issued, one of the people that was affected was Deputy President William Ruto, because of course he's been holding those meetings in his current residence. And maybe MOH and government detectives, or rather government operatives, felt like that was a high risk. So when they notified Ruto, but even after that you saw Deputy President continued to host leaders there. But that order was not adhered to, and things took a drastic. Even if you remember, William Ruto held, I think, a consultative forum with economic forum. He calls the consultative regional consultative economic forums, I think, with some group from Western, if I'm not wrong. So he was not actually adhering to that rule. And maybe the government felt like he's part of it, but he is not following the directives that are issued by the same government. So it might not be political per se, but it might be just defiance on his side. So this is how it went. The security chiefs felt that the DP security officials had not dealt with the matter because they were told to make sure that they banned the gatherings in Karen. But of course, why didn't they just ask Ruto directly to stop it instead of using the juniors? So when they realized that matter was not properly held by Ruto's security team, another high-level calls from GSU educators was made that led to the current changes. So now it reached a point where they say rubber meets the road. And when they realized that Deputy President was so defiant, and was the GSU, of course, they could not handle it. And that is why then a call was made. And on Tuesday, a call from GSU headquarters, the security chief in Karen, was made, and revealed that changes were to be made on Deputy President security. So, okay, if this was made on Tuesday, then I think even Ruto knew what was going on. It's so interesting because when this came out on Thursday, we were all in the situation of why now, why this, why did this happen, and all that. We were all asking questions why that happened. But of course, if you look at this, you realize that they were informed that there were some changes. Because if the head of security was informed as early as Tuesday, that means that he already informed his boss, Deputy President William Ruto. So why were they banning the political gatherings? They were banning the political gatherings because a security brief had previously pointed out that DP's residence in Karen was a health risk, following the numerous political gatherings that were taking place there regularly, even after the MOH, Ministry of Health, banned political meetings across the country. And that was the bone of contention. Why Ruto was hosting the political gatherings in the Karen residence, which is a place that is perceived to be a government space or a government building or a government house, well, government have said that they should ban those political gatherings. Maybe on this one, my personal opinion, and I say this is my opinion, I think Ruto got it wrong because he just needed to adhere to it. They know that current residence is not his current residence, of course, is something is under radar. But when he hosts those meetings and shares the photos, and some of those photos, even people are not putting on the mask, and some of those people are not adhering to the COVID-19 protocols. So, of course, here, it is something that he can't feel vindicated. The only way is the manner in which it was done. Now, the Standard also reported that DP Ruto's Chief of Staff, Ken Osinde, wrote to IG, Hilary Mutyambai, demanding an official explanation and restatement of the GSU officers. So furthermore, it was reported that a senior police post in Nairobi instructed officers to arrest anybody found contravening COVID-19 mitigation measures, including top politicians and government officials. Ruto not excluded. Now, in the letter, IG stated that DP stated that the new security detail, including the replacement of his personal drivers on Friday, might have been sent to his home with the ulterior motive. This happens. Of course, Ruto came out and said that his lieutenant said that his life is in danger. Even if there is no trigger to show that, okay, someone is after DP, but downgrading that already is a threshold enough to argue that my life is in danger. And politicians know how to play with this. So, of course, this is not something that you are worried about. Now, a report by Citizen TV indicated that over 77 GSU officers were withdrawn from DP's residence and replaced with 66 APs. Of course, they said that it was normal realignment, and there's nothing like that. But President Uhuru Kenyatta, the presidential escort unit, was still protecting Deputy President as a person. So this is how it is very interesting. That they did have, and that's how they played it very trickily. They did have a problem with Deputy President William Ruto, and that's why his presidential escort, Dereke, is still with him. But the political gatherings. So that is why when they say that they withdrew the GSU officers to replace the APs, and maybe perhaps my opinion is they might have been, maybe they were given strict measures to make sure that they block anyone getting to that residence. Because I know, and I think that because it's a government directive, they can just be told that go there and make sure no one gets in there. But of course, we saw, I think recently, I think yesterday, there was a meeting there. And Ruto, I think today, there was a photo of Ruto, Rigathi Gachagua, and Ndindi Nyoro. If it was not yesterday, it is today. So those new APs might have been given that directive to make sure that they block anyone from getting there. But then, interestingly enough, I think government knows how to respond to these things and bow to oppression. That's why Ruto was attending a burial in Nakuru today, and today the 28th August, and actually some of the GSU took over from the APs, and it is something that happened. So guys, it was not really more of an analysis, but just giving a report, the chronology of events until the point where government withdrew, or rather replaced, the GSU officers that were manning current residence of Deputy President William Ruto. So it's something that was a process. So one point is Ruto knew what was going on. Second thing, government talked about banning political gatherings, and they felt like Ruto was actually contravening that, or was not respecting government guidelines. And that might also be, they might also be using that in the spirit of, he's been saying he's not part of the government, that he was secluded in the government, excluded in the government operatives, and that's why maybe he's not falling out. So guys, what do you think about that?